Hola a todos, buenos días. A nombre de la Cámara de Comercio Italiana en México, les agradezco por acompañarnos esta mañana a este webinar llevado a cabo con Poli.Design. Este webinar lo hacemos como parte de las actividades de promoción que lleva a cabo la Cámara de Comercio Italiana en México para incentivar a los alumnos mexicanos que puedan realizar sus estudios de posgrado en Italia. Y pues bueno, Poli.Design es por excelencia una de las mejores universidades de diseño en Italia, así que bueno, el día de hoy nos acompaña Paola Galli de Poli.Design para que justamente les hable más sobre la universidad y posteriormente estará cediendo la palabra a Cristina Boeri, nuestra ponente del día de hoy. El webinar o la intervención de Cristina será en inglés y al final daremos 15 minutos de preguntas y respuestas. Así que si gustan, pueden ir dejando sus preguntas en el chat y más tarde las veremos para Cristina. Ahora, sin más por el momento, cedo la palabra a Paola. Gracias.
Muchas gracias, Claudia, y bienvenidos y bienvenidas a todos los que están escuchando a este webinar. Es un gusto participar nuevamente a un proyecto organizado por la Cámara de Comercio Mexicana. El año pasado participamos con un grande éxito a Encuentro Creativo y salieron muchas perspectivas nuevas en relación a preguntas de los estudiantes. Poli.Design es un consorcio de Politécnico de Milano que pertenece al sistema Diseño Politécnico de Milano, compuesto por 3 entidades. La Escuela de Diseño, donde se organizan actividades de Bachelor y Master of Science. El Departamento de Diseño, que está en cargo de la investigación y los programas de doctorado. Y Poli.Design, que está en cargo de los máster de especialización. Organizamos este webinar gracias a nuestra compañera Sofía, que ve aquí a mi lado, y a la oficina de comunicación, y a la profesora Cristina Boeri, profesora del Politécnico de Milán y codirectora del Master Sensorial Surface Design, por invitarles a ver nuestros programas y a participar a una experiencia completamente nueva. El tema que va a afrontar la profesora Boeri es un tema muy dedicado a la innovación, a la investigación que el Politécnico está haciendo en relación a los materiales innovativos, a las superficies innovadoras, aplicado al tema del interior design. Quiero mencionar también que los estudiantes que al final de este webinar decidirán de aplicar al programa de máster recibirán un descuento de 15% cada uno sobre el fee total del máster. Recibirán también una carta, un correo directo con todas las informaciones para la aplicación Apply Now en el programa de máster. Dejo la palabra entonces a la profesora Boeri, agradeciendo muchísimo a los atendientes y a ella misma.
Cristina, I think you have your microphone off. We cannot hear you.
Yes, right. Thank you. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Paula. I'm going to speak in English. I'm sorry, but my Spanish is so poor that I cannot do in another way. I'm just going to share with you my screen. Can you see?
Yeah, we can see your presentation, but we don't see it like full screen.
Full screen. Okay.
No, non è full screen, se riesci a metterlo cortesemente, Cri, full screen.
Better?
Un momento, por favor. Forse ti conviene, creo que es mejor si lo cierres, se lo chiudi e lo riapri. Mientras tanto, esperamos que los atendientes lleguen.
Ecco,
Perfecto. Le hemos dado un poco de tiempo más para entrar en el webinar.
It's
Gracias.
working, is okay?
It's working. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So good morning or good afternoon. I'm Cristina Boeri, and as you already know, I'm the co-director of the Master in Sensorial Surface Design, Color, Material and Finish Design for Interiors and Furniture of Politecnico di Milano, managed by Poli.Design. I'm an architect, graduated at Politecnico di Milano with a PhD in color planning and design, obtained at Lusíada University of Lisbon, and I deal with the perceptual and emotional qualities and identities of design, especially color, combining professional research and educational activities. The subject of my presentation is about CMF design, designing the emotional identities of industrial products. And I would like to start briefly outlining how, from a design approach based mainly on functionality, we move to an approach based on the emotional relationships we establish with the products and places. That means introducing to you what happened since the 60s in the Italian design culture and how the concept of CMF design started to develop. Finally, I would like to say something on what is currently happening in the field of surfaces design and how this topic is getting more and more important in design-driven innovation. I'm starting with this sentence as I really like. Is a sentence by Carmagnola, which I have taken from the book titled Design, the Factory of the Desire. I'm translating from the Italian to English. This sentence, I think, underlines very well how the sense and the search for pleasure and beauty are inherent to human, an innate and peculiar character presence since the beginning of our species. Here I'm moving on a sentence by a well-known Italian-based designer who is Ettore Sottsass. Ettore Sottsass, since the end of the 1950s, have been using the color question to build a critical framework toward the design culture that at that time appear no longer able to provide the answer to the social and cultural transformation underway. He promoted the welcoming of a design idea based largely on rationality, compositional balance, and correspondence between form and function. Here is an example, probably the most well-known example of the design of Ettore Sottsass. It is the Valentine typewriter designed in 1968 by Sottsass for the Italian company Olivetti. And I think it is an exemplary of this new design approach. The product innovation is not about the technological aspects, but about the way the product interacts with the user on an emotional basis. And the color, especially the color, strongly contributes to this idea to communicate the novelty value. And at the point that this typewriter is well known and sometimes called the Red Valentine. In the third picture I show you, so the first is about an advertisement made at that time in order to promote this idea of a typewriter that it was more connected, as you see from the advertisement, that it was more connected to the kind of people who would like to use this kind of tools. The second one is about how famous this product became even few years later after his launch, and is a communication made by Olivetti that say exactly that is not anymore a technological product, is more something that you want to have in your home and to want to use for the ideology, that the imagination that is under this technological product. The third one is exactly about the color, and so I translate for you from the Italian. Is a catalog of an exhibition organized by Olivetti Historical Archive Association, and is the title of this exhibition is Red Valentine, a product between imagination and utopia. This product is so well known, so famous worldwide, that I like to show you this picture that is taken from another exhibition in New York about design, radical design, and you can read the sentence that is together with the product that say how Ettore Sottile was even bored about the recognizable of this product with this new approach of design. He actually did a lot of famous, interesting, important other product, but is still recognized for the Valentine typewriter. I'm moving to another sentence and another subject that is about design primario. Research in the field of design primario were connected to the new idea of design of Ettore Sottile, and they took place in Italy since the mid-70s, and they actually brought attention, probably for the first time, to the perceptual value of design and the so-called soft qualities, such as color, of course, but also light, also tactile, olfactory, acoustic aspects that represents the sensorial experience of design. Here I show you some of the work produced during the experience of design primario, and in particular produced by the design research team in the Montefibre Design Center that was established in 1973 in Milano by Montedison, leader in Italian chemistry, in order to develop a culture of the sensorial qualities of design, where the intangible qualitative factor could be priority and strategic. Some more examples are instead related to even to the development of completely new materials and surfaces, such as these new types of laminate developed, the first, this one by Clino Trini Castelli, and the second by Andrea Branzi for the Italian company Abet. So I can in some way share with you that period and how was connected with the industrial production, and also the idea of finding innovative and new quality related to the industrial products. Here I'm moving to another sentence is by Clino Trinicastelli, and as quoted in this sentence, since the 80s, the design of color, material, and finish assume even greater importance in relation to the goals of designing the experience we establish with objects and places and their emotional identities. That is the intangible aspects of design. CMF design is the acronym used in 1981, probably for the first time, for the CMF project developed by, again, the Italian designer Clino Trinicastelli for the very famous furniture company Herman Miller. The project was based on the idea of renew through color, material, and finishes a famous action office system that was already on production. So basically, the idea was to use these powerful elements, color, material, and finishes, in order to transform, to make update and a system, and very famous system of product related to the office. Here I'm trying to summarize the CMF design process. That is a matter of observing and monitoring the emerging transformation from a social, from a cultural, and productive point of view, and is a matter also of translating this aspect into CMF directions, and therefore into color, material, and finishes. CMF design does not only concern the design of color and material and finish, but involve various aspects of design. So we talk about strategic design, we talk about user experience. I already told you how important was, since the beginning, this idea of designing the experience, but also about brand narratives and so forth. In order to probably make easier to understand how it works and the connection with all these aspects of CMF design, I give you some example, and I use these two well-known brands that I hope you already know, so it would be easier to talk about them. One is the Japanese brand Muji, and the other one instead is the Italian brand Zanotta. I'm going just to say something in order to introduce a little bit these two brands. Talking about Muji philosophy, we talk about simplicity and universality. Muji is enough, is the key point, the key phrase to narrate this brand that translates into quality and functional design. The Japanese minimalist aesthetics, while instead we can see on the opposite, we can say on the opposite, the Zanotta brand and the Zanotta production that is recognized as one of the most eclectic catalog portfolio in the Italian design. Since the 60s, Zanotta has produced some of the most iconic and revolutionary products of Italian design. I hope, again, you already know the brand Zanotta, and I hope you know some of the products I'm showing you in this slide. I'm just saying something about the Sacco armchair that is this unformed or no form armchair that allow you to personalize, to make your own way to sit on it. In the second pages from the catalog, there is another iconic pieces that is so innovative, and it is Mezzadro by Achille and Pier Giacomo Castiglioni. Once again, a completely new way to look at the problem of sitting, using or reusing some elements taken from different imaginary and bringing them in this product. And again, Cumano, that is instead about taking something that is already already in production in an even anonymous way, because this table is taken from the French cafe table that were very diffuse and probably without a recognizable designer who did them, who created them. And so Zanotta just take from something that is already in our affection, we can say, in our mind, and give a new life to these pieces, and so on. You probably understand that I love both of these brands. Here I'm showing how you can start from a brand narrative, so a brand idea, a brand emotional identity, and start analyzing this brand in order to better understand how these intangible aspects that are the characters, the peculiar characters of a brand, can be translated in color, material, and finishing. So I'm using some maps, I'm using some tools that are developed just in order to help us to better recognize and to better understand the CMF direction more suitable to improve or to strengthen the brand identity or the brand value. And for example, we talk about some aesthetics that are more interesting, more recognizable for this brand. And then again, we translate this kind of aesthetics in color that are more usable in order to improve the coherence of the identity. So, for example, in the case of Muji, we see how even removing the color can be a way that Muji use in order to give this idea of simplicity, this idea of a very natural and minimal aesthetics. So we talk about nude color. We even talk about white plastic, so a plastic that is in some way used in a very raw, basic way. So there is no complexity in the color and in the appearance of the material used. Again, so we see how the material should have this impression or should give this impression again of raw material, and how instead the finishes in Muji are really rich, full of detail, full of complexity, in order probably to balance the neutrality and the roughness of colors and material. And from the opposite side, we can talk about an exuberant aesthetics in order to explain better the Zanotta emotional identity and how they are visible in the production, in the portfolio of Zanotta. And again, we talk about bold colors. So we are not describing exactly the amount of color used by the company, but the idea, the most important aspect that give the identity of Zanotta. So bold color, strong color, and an heterogeneous use of material, so the opposite compared to Muji, this idea of also using every time innovative material, this idea of experiments with new material, and so on. So just to give you an idea of how, starting from a brand value, brand identity, brand narrative, we move in translating into aesthetic and then recognizing the CMF direction useful in order to better connect the brand with its production. As I told you, I also would like to talk about some emerging trends in the field of surface design. The first I have called conceptualization of color, and refers to the idea of an increasingly use of color full of meaning. So it's not anymore just about selecting the proper color, selecting a better color. It's more about fulfill of meaning the color we are selecting. This is an example, just an example taken by Pantone, that is, I think, once again, something you already know. And this is nice because show you, as at the beginning, this idea of meaningful color was more connected to the brand identity. And this is, for example, the Tiffany blue, the iconic color that represent, for example, this well-known brand. So the color was concerning an historical in historical motivation related to Tiffany, and later Pantone just formulate and create this color for the Tiffany brand. In the following example, instead, I'm talking about creating something that is not anymore grounded in the history of the brand, but instead is something that is being built in order to better communicate the emotional identity of the brand. And these are some cases, but in particular, we can talk about the pink created together with Pantone for the 2022 collection of Valentino. Again, I hope you know this brand, this fashion brand, and I also show you some picture and some phrases that express the idea after this pink. So is a pink that actually is a reflection about the future, is a pink that want to be used in order to give a strong relation to the social and cultural transformation. And here again, some example of the use of the pink together with some cultural personalities that bring together color and the meaning that this color needs to express, needs to give us. I'm moving to the second emerging trend that concerns instead sophistication and complexity of surfaces. In these images, we can see here at the first picture is about color changing furniture by the Korean-based studio Orien, who use the lenticular technology in order to create these gradient surfaces that change compare it to the view angle where we see the products. The following example instead are taken by the Milano Design Week that probably you know, it is this important, I think the most important exhibition on the subject of furniture and design. In the last edition that was held in 2023, sorry, we saw a lot of these new surfaces, very complex surfaces, due to the use, for example, of 3D printing. So here we see this skin that is called phantasmagorical skin. I hope my pronounce is correct. That is a 3D printing technology, once again, allowed to change a color depending on the viewing angle. And the last one I show you is about an Italian company, and it is about two new veneer based again on the principle of gradient. This is the last slide, again, in order to talk you about this opportunity offered by surfaces. This is the project by Onoka that combine the use of 3D printer and the reuse of waste material to give, at least this is my impression, a so precious, so elegant kind of surfaces. I have finished my presentation. Here I leave you with this last slide that is about some publication that talk about the emotional value of design, especially about color. And here also you can have a look at the activities of our master in sensorial surface design. We have a page on LinkedIn where we try to publish on often or as often as we can some of the work and the activity connected to the master, so that we probably that can help you to understand better the activities, the modules, the teaching modules involved in the master, and of course the website on the Poli.Design website that talk about our master. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Cristina, for your time. It was a really interesting session. I don't know if some of the attendees have any questions about the subject that you have already exposed or about the program. If you have any doubts, you can put it here in the chat and we are going to read it for Cristina. I don't know, like in the middle, if you want to add something about the master, or Sophia, if you want to add something else about Poli.Design.
So the master is at the second edition, and is in collaboration, probably as I try to explain during the presentation. Also, our master is in collaboration with the National Association Federlegno Arredo, Assopannelli, who is involved in the organization of the Design Week, and with several companies, partner who are involved in the surface design. So once again, also the master is organized with this strong connection with the company's production, and with this idea that the company in this sector are really involved in innovation, are really involved in research, because actually sometimes surfaces are, we say, the place where we transfer this value of innovation, and also this connection with the trend in this meaning of being, first of all, social, cultural, productive trend, and then they are being translated into aesthetics and surfaces.
Okay, perfect. We have a question that is, which book do you believe is the best to learn the emotional identity of product designs?
Sorry, can you repeat me,
Yeah,
Claudia?
which book do you believe is the best in order to learn the emotional identity of product design?
I don't know. I think I cited during the presentation some books. I cannot say there is just one book, even because I introduced to you some thematic that are related to design primario. This is an approach to emotional design that, as I told you, is more connected to the Italian design culture. It is well known also, the book titled Emotional Design, that is instead by an author that start talking about emotional design later in the 19th. I think both of that could be useful in order to have two different ideas, while the design primario and the idea of emotional design, it was more related to a production and to the idea of a practical design production. The book of emotional design, I think the most diffused, the most popular is exactly emotional design. This is the title. Born instead more from the idea of neuroscience, behavior, how we act and we react with the product in this emotional idea. We now talk about, let's say, a new area of research, a new discipline that are exactly about emotional design. They are quite innovative, they are quite new. So hard to say a book, probably better to look for also paper, very updated, very new paper, but not easy to find a proper final book. Is a very updating and process, an ongoing discipline that is expanding, reaching also new sector and new contamination with other discipline. So hard to say a book, better to say start to move in this subject, start to study on this subject, and it could be very interesting, also providing new perspective and new publication. So if you are interested, it's a very interesting subject where you can emerge.
Okay, perfect, Cristina. Thank you for your answer. And also the person that has asked this question is thanking you. We have another question from Rocio, and she's asking if she can see the process again in the first picture. I think it was while you were sharing your screen.
As I told you, this is an attempt to try to explain, also connected with the different discipline and the different aspect involved in CMF design. So this is a point of view in order to summarize the process that is not just about development of CMF intended as color, material, and finish selection, or providing this kind of selection. Is really start from the context analysis. So we talk about user, we talk about brand, we talk about marketing as well, and manufacturing aspect. And then we talk about aesthetics in this especially in this cultural and connected to trend and transformation. And then finally, we act through CMF strategies, CMF scenario, relating so to a future vision. And then finally, just at the end of the process, we talk about a true selection, a very defined selection of color, material, and finishes.
Okay, thanks, Cristina. And we have another question, that is, which materials and technologies can be used to maintain the aesthetics, but with an eco-friendly and sustainable approach?
This is a very good question, but it's also a very huge question. It's also, again, something that is really under constant reflection and questioning. Is something we deal with in a very open and in a very updating way every time. So hard to answer, I have to say. Thanks for the question. I care for the subject, but really hard to answer in a few sentences.
Okay, perfect, Cristina. Thank you so much for your time. We have I don't think we have any other questions. Sophia, I don't know if you want to add something about Poli.Design, about the discount that you are offering to the people that has connected to this webinar.
Sure. So actually, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Cristina, for this insightful presentation. It's been a pleasure to listen to it. And for you guys, you will receive an email just a few hours after the end of this session with thanking for being here. And also you will receive a link to access the subscription page of our Master in Sensorial Surface Design, and you will be entitled to a 15% discount. So please go ahead. Also, you can just visit our website and see all our academic offers. We have plenty of masters in the various design disciplines. And also you can always reach out to us if you have any questions or anything you'd like to know. We're always available and looking forward to meeting you all.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Cristina. Thanks all of you for joining, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Gracias.